Welcome to part 2 of our back cowl neckline where we shall be stitching our pieces together.
So this is my front piece. As you can see, I have gone ahead and made running stitches around the dart. This is how I stitch my dart. I'll drop a link on part 1 of this video, which involves creating and drafting the pattern itself. And I would also drop a link on how to go about stitching this type of darts. So yes, I have gone ahead and done the stitches. What is left now is for me to go to the sewing machine and stitch everything up. Now for the neckline, I have to finish the front neckline, and I intend using a bias strip. However, I wouldn't want to use a bias strip that is not this fabric, and I can't find the tool in making a bias strip. So what I'm going to do is just to cut a fabric and then go ahead and finish off the neckline. To cut the fabric I'm going to use, it is important to know that to finish a neckline like this, you don't just cut fabric however you want and then you use it to finish off your neckline. What you do is you cut your fabric in a bias green. This is because when a fabric is in a bias green, it stretches. So this is my remaining fabric. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in a triangular form, just so I would have the bias green. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold it in a triangular form like this. Then go ahead and cut it out. I would say there's no hard and fast rule on how to do this, but there is. It has to be in a bias green. Next thing I'm going to do is just to go on and just cut a long strip, say 1 inch wide. We're just finishing only the front neckline. So now I'll go to the sewing machine and finish off the neckline. Let's do that together. First, I'll stitch the darts. We're going to reinforce at this point. And now to the neckline. So this is the right side of our garment. And this is the right side of our strip. So I'm going to go ahead and put them together, right sides facing each other, like this, and stitch. Our allowance for the neck is 1/4 inch. So I'm going to be stitching 1/4 inch using this mark here as a guide. I'll reinforce. No stretching, just stitching and guiding the fabric, making sure they match together. At the end, we're going to reinforce as well. This is what we have. So next thing I'm going to do is to go on and create notches, because the neckline is a bateau neckline and we want to be able to turn the bias effortlessly. We have to go on and create notches around this areas after stitching, just so we'll be able to turn it over, and also while pressing it will be easy for us to press. Okay, so we'll go to the table and press, and after pressing we'll come back and finish off the neckline. So here it is. I have gone ahead and pressed it. That's the neckline. I've pressed it, and this is what I have. So next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead, and I have also trimmed the allowance around the neckline. Just to reduce the bulk around the neckline. So next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and fold this inwards. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and fold it inwards like this, so that the raw edge of the strip is going to match the seam around this area. Once it is like this, I'm going to turn it over again and start stitching. I'm going to stitch at the edge, reinforce. I'm going to continue to fold it as I go, the exact way I folded the first time. Make sure there are no raw edges. Do it gently and slowly. When you get to the end, you reinforce. This is what we have. So what I'm going to do now is to go to the table and press the seam. So I have gone ahead and joined the bodice to the lower part of the dress. As you can see, this is the front bodice and this is the back bodice. Remember, I told you that there would be no zipper at the back bodice, and this is it, no zipper, and this is what it looks like. Now, to join the front and the back together, we're just going to do something very simple. Remember this mark here? So before I took this off the fabric after cutting, I went ahead and made a notch on the fabric. This is just to guide me as to where this line is on the fabric, and this is what I have. So we're going to continue working now. I have the notch on both sides, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in like this at the notched area. Hold it with a pin. I'm going to do the exact same thing to this side. It's already notched, so I'll just use a pin to hold it like this. Remember, this is the right side of our fabric and we're folding inwards like this. Next thing we're going to do is we're now going to place the garment right sides facing each other. So the wrong side is going to be facing upwards. Now this is the wrong side of the front bodice. I'm just going to front dress, I'm just going to bring it here, and at the exact point where I notched and folded, I'm going to hold it with a pin like this. And then I'll do the same thing to this other side. Now I'll go to my machine, we'll do that together, and then stitch the shoulder area. That's stitch them together like this. So we are at the machine. I'm going to reinforce. There's a pin already, and my allowance for the shoulder is 1/2 inch. I'm going to bring down the lever and then match everything together and stitch 1/2 inch seam allowance. Reinforce. Take out my pin. You can leave your pin though. There's going to be no problem with that. And then you stitch. I'll do the same thing to this side. That's the other side of the shoulder. I'll reinforce, match the fabrics like this, and stitch. When I get to the end, I'm going to reinforce. Okay, so I have joined the shoulder areas with a stitch. So I am going to match the front and back together at the waist area like this. Ensure that the seams are open like this. Match them and hold them with a pin. I'm going to start stitching from the waist area because I want the waist area to match. So I'm going to start stitching from the waist area, 1/2 inch seam allowance, and then work my way towards the armhole area. Ensure that the seams are opened on both sides before you start stitching. Match it to the allowance and stitch. Half-inch seam allowance. So for this side, I changed the thread because the fabric has also changed. So I'm just going to go ahead and stitch out back stitch. That's reinforce. And then stitch on our allowance, that is 1/2 inch allowance. And I'm going to reinforce. So I went ahead and finished off the dress off camera. I finished the armhole the same way I finished the front neckline. So it's the same technique, same process. And that was how I finished off the armhole area. This is it. And I went ahead and inserted the zipper. That is invisible zipper. I'm going to drop a link in the description box on a video on how to attach your zipper. It's here in this channel. This is it, the armhole area. That's the side, because I told you there wouldn't be a zipper at the center back. The zipper is going to be attached by the side, and this is what I did. The lower part here is a full flare. The link up to the video is going to be in the description box as well on how to cut a full flare skirt.